3, go.
Hey everybody, it's Aram Banyan.
Timothy Bennett here.
Welcome to B&B Banter Bros, episode number 8, fully. Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, our last episode, our post-game D&D thing is technically, it's listed as number 8, but I'm calling it 7 3/4.
Because if you want to get real bitchy about it, I mean, it's the 8th one. But
we're calling this number 8. So,
right.
So deal with it. Get nice, refreshing. What are you drinking tonight?
Jameson 7-Up. It's a drink that I usually drink Jameson ginger ale, but for some reason I can't fucking find a good sized bottle of ginger ale anywhere. So
it's because
this is just my life now.
Nobody likes ginger ale.
Well, I do. It's good when you have an upset stomach, and it's good when you have whiskey.
Actually, I never drink ginger ale, so.
Never got it when you had like an upset stomach or
no,
that?
No, because I wasn't a pussy. I just sucked it up.
I was nauseous when I was a child. People gave me ginger ale.
I've heard that it's supposed to help that.
The ginger. I mean, ginger in general will help you with
an
upset stomach.
When I was like, when I would get sick or something like that.
It's good for digestion in general. But.
Probably. When I got sick or whatever, sometimes I would get like 7-Up or something, just because of the
fizz.
I think it's the fizz, the carbonation,
and the syrup and shit
yeah.
in there. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I really did any ginger ale.
It was one of those old family things that my family did.
Kind of like a wives' tale kind of.
It's not even really a wives' tale. I mean, plenty of people know it, but it was this kind of like idiosyncratic shit that like my family did. Like, oh, you're upset, somebody kept some ginger ale. It's the same shit where like we kept the ants out of the house by putting cucumber peels around the radiators.
Interesting.
Which actually worked, except for the fact that cucumber peels go bad real quick.
Yeah,
so like you gotta be real vigilant.
Then they smell. Now your house smells like rotten cucumber peels. I didn't know you were making a compost in your house.
Right. Yeah.
That's how we grow.
Don't worry about it.
So it's a little interesting fun fact. When I worked at Quiznos, there was this girl named Missy, and she was short. And I used to just call her Short One. I know, real original nickname.
Should just call her, hey, Missy. No, missed you.
No, I used to tell her, sometimes she would just like annoy me or piss me off or whatever, so.
I'll put you on that fridge.
I used to threaten that way. I'm like, don't make me put you on something high. But I used to, because she was short. She was like 5 foot. But I used to tell her, it's like, you know what, Missy, go plant yourself and drink some Miracle Grow. Of course, her response, that would kill me. And I'm like,
but Tim, I die.
at least she would grow something.
Right.
So yeah, today we're going to kind of just do a free-for-all topic thingy.
Yeah.
We're just going to
we've got some random question generators up, so we're just going to
take a little break from our regular scheduled program.
Yeah.
Mainly because we would be talking about books, and we're both not ready to really talk about books.
Tim and I aren't in the same place in the book we're reading, and I haven't been taking notes the way Tim has. So, which is not unusual. I'm not a note taker.
Well, college prepared me for that.
Right.
Especially my analytical classes of film, where my professor made me write for 4 hours, 26 pages of notes.
Anyone that knows me knows I flunked out of college, so.
It's okay. Yeah. It's not all cracked up to be.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
So we're just going to kind of open discussion. So, Aaron, what do you got for me? What do you got? What do you want?
Shit.
We were talking about some things.
Random question, I guess. I've got a list of fun questions to ask a guy.
Okay. I happen to be a guy.
Last time I checked, so was I. So the first question is, what was the funniest way you have been injured?
The funniest way that I've been injured, like probably more like severely, because I mean I stubbed my toe on.
I assume like a break or a sprain, something required like a doctor visit.
I have never broken a bone in my body, and I was extremeness. Like I was a skateboarder and snowboarder and stuff. I never broke a bone in my body, but I did. I fractured my wrist.
That's a break.
Kind of. is what they call a hair fracture. So I literally had just a sliver where it just kind of cracked. And it's called a buckle fracture because my wrist bone, it was my right wrist, the bones just overlapped. Mm-hmm. So they pretty much had to pull it, and then it had to stay that way because of the impact. So the kind of weird story, I don't know if it's funny, but I guess the weird story about that was I am a skateboarder. Back then, I should say I was a skateboarder. This was in 8th grade. And I used to do all these flip tricks, you know, like downstairs and all this jazz. And the one time...
So you had a saxophone at the same time? Like
yep.
Playing jazz and doing kickflips?
I was Bart and Lisa Simpson in one. No, I was talking to a girl that I, you know, thought was cute, you know, just whatever, talking to her in the parking lot at the middle school. After school one day, and then I got ready to ride my skateboard home, and I wasn't doing any tricks, and all I did was hit a rock and go flying off my board and landed right on my wrist. Out of all the shit I used to do, and I've hurt myself several times, but that was the worst injury I've ever had on a skateboard. Yeah. Or a snowboard, for that matter. Or a wakeboard. Or a rollerblader. Or BMX. Any of that shit I used to do. That was the worst I've ever had. And, it was just because I was just riding my skateboard. Right. And I just happened to hit a rock, go flying forward. So I blame her.
Wait, so I'm sorry, I missed that part. You were walking home with this girl, or you were skating?
No, I was just talking to her in the parking lot. And then after we were done talking, I went on. But I blame her because if I didn't talk to her, I probably wouldn't have hit that rock. I even showed her the next day. And I'm like, look what you did. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, you know what you did.
You did this to me.
Yep, you know what you did. And then I explained to her, like, as soon as like we separated and you went your way and I went my way, I hit a rock and did this. So, yeah. What about you?
Oh, I've injured myself a few times. Probably my most extreme accident, and probably what I consider to be the funniest, is I was in 9th grade, I think. 9th grade. My buddy and I were walking back to his place, and we were at the intersection where the Holiday Inn and in Granite City are. Mm-hmm. That intersection. And so we were crossing from Holiday Inn to Granite City, and I hit the button. I saw the yellow light pop up on the traffic that I was trying to cut across. No cars were coming that I could see. And so I took off and was kind of trotting along. I wasn't walking, I was kind of jogging. And I didn't see it, but I heard a car horn. And apparently there was a car trying to beat the yellow light. Uh-huh. So they hit their brakes pretty hard. I think I vaguely remember hearing their brakes. And so what happened was I kind of jumped up in order to save myself, I think. Hit the hood of the car, and bounced off onto the pavement.
I think I remember this story.
And I've told it because it's a goofy story. So I don't know if I was out cold or anything like that, but I remember not being completely conscious, but then I popped up. I kind of jumped up, because my whole body had registered, hey, you just got hit by a car.
Right,
I popped up and was like, and then the blood rushed from my head, so I plopped back down on the ground. And this is all in enough time for my friend, who was not following me, who was still standing at the crosswalk or at the sidewalk, and watched this happen, to come running around the corner of the car. I was and screaming, are you okay? And I'm like, he's calling my name. I take that back. He's yelling at my name, and I'm holding my head. And the two people driving the car do not get out. The girl in the passenger seat leans out and says, are you okay?
Just get hit by
to which I reply, no. I say no, and then I'm trying to get my bearings, trying to, find my cell phone, because it was just the right time for me to have a cell phone. It was a Nokia. It It was one of the old Nokias, so it was unharmed. Somehow I lost a shoe. Lo and behold, someone else told me that they were driving or they were on the intersection that I got hit on, like on the other side, and my shoe had somehow made it over there.
It's crazy on how that works. You lose a shoe when you get hit by a car.
Yeah, like there was a Dodge Neon that hit me just hard enough to blow me out of one of my shoes. So the two people in the car are kind of freaking out. One guy stops to like talk to us and try and figure out what's going on, like to help out. Other people are driving by, and the person that drove by was like, "You should call 911." I was like, "Motherfucker, why don't you instead of driving off?" Like, I didn't understand that. I was so irritated.
How
with that
rude!
Guy. Like, fucking shut up and stop yelling. Can't you see I'm holding my head? I obviously have a headache.
Right.
But so after that, the three of them, the gentleman that stopped and the two that hit me, get it in their heads that they'll drive me to the hospital. So the two people are like, just get in the back seat, we'll drive you to the hospital. They're not from this town, do not know where the hospital is. So the other guy who stopped is trying to lead them there. So I'm in the back seat and I'm starting to register what's happened. Mm-hmm. And I call my dad. You know, I tell him, hey, and he's like, what's up? And I was like, I just got hit by a car. And he's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm on my way to the hospital right now. He's like, okay, I'll meet you there. I said, okay. And I hung up the phone. And I gave the phone to my friend. My friend's mother is from China. Lovely woman, but has a bit of a temper. I don't know what he all told her because I wasn't paying attention, but like I can hear her screaming at him through the phone, and I am laughing hysterically at this point at the whole situation because I'm in the back of the car that hit me. He's being yelled at by his mother for whatever reason I can't tell. The two up front are freaking out to the point where they're just smoking like chimneys. And he gives me the phone, and he's like, his mother in the comments was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, you were just yelling. Like you can't switch gears like that on me. I can't handle that right now."
You know, I've been around enough Asian families. I had several growing up, and been over to household, and that's a thing in Asian households. That seems to be a thing. They switch gears.
Yeah, they switch real quick.
Especially when there's a guest, because obviously I was in the same boat as you, where they would be yelling at their own children or yelling at the husband or something, and it sounds very aggressive. Yeah. Maybe it's just because of the way the language and the way that the tones are. But then, so how was your day? Or I was like, my goodness.
But so
it's a real thing.
Yeah. So eventually they have to pull over because the guy that's leading to the hospital is so freaked out he got lost. This was probably like 11 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning?
Yeah, it was like a Saturday. We were on my way to my friend's house. So he has to stop and like get his bearings, and like I think he asked for directions from someone. I'm like, dude, get it together, guy. Like, I know where we're at. Like, if I had, and like, at one point I'm laughing because this is all just hysterical at this point. The girl turns around, she's like, he's in shock. I was like, why wouldn't I be?
Right.
Like, this is hilarious. What more can you ask for an eventful day than this? And so, like, we finally got to the hospital. I don't know where they went, but I got out of the car and completely forgot about them. My buddy's following behind me. I think my buddy tried to like take my arm to help me, and I kind of shrugged him off. I was like, nope, I got this. Like, I can walk, goddamn. I was limping, but I could walk. And so I got to the hospital. My dad came up, hugged me. I hugged him, and I walked up to the receptionist. She's like, what seems to be the problem? I was like, I just got hit by a car. And she's like, okay. And I don't remember much after that. I do remember the cop questioning why I left the scene of the accident. I'm like, I'm 15. What did you expect me to do? I got hit by a car. I wanted to see a doctor.
Right.
Like,
just supposed to stand there and.
What did you want me to do? Those two idiots fucking were freaking out. Like, But that was probably the funniest experience I had being injured.
Jeez.
I ended up with a fractured wrist and a hairline fracture in my skull were the two major injuries I had. So I had a...
That's where your headache came from.
Yeah.
God, my head is pounding.
They took scans. They're like, well, we don't see any brain damage, but he does have a sinus infection. And I went, well, this was like...
I'll help clear that out.
Well, there was still snow on the ground when this happened because I remember waking up with my hand in a pile of snow. And it was like, well, that explains the sniffly nose.
That's funny.
But yeah, so the irritating part of that night was that my dad had to wake me up like every 2 hours to make sure I actually woke up because they weren't sure that I had any brain damage.
Yeah, I guess time will tell.
Yeah. Still wondering about that one.
Still got some time.
Yeah, it's true. All right, your turn.
So I just thought about this because Dreads asked me this once, and so I'll ask you and then I'll give my answer. But when me and Dreads were at DB's and we were like some Sunday or whatever, you know how I used to run Sundays on my own.
Hmm?
Sometimes Dreads used to be there, and I remember we were working together, and he asked me one day, he's like, if you could have a superpower, what kind of superpower you'd be, you know? Nothing too. I think he also asked me at the same time, like what's that? Fuck, marry, kill question. I think he asked me some bizarre random shit like that too. I don't know. This is back when Dredge was still drinking.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, what kind of superpower would you have?
Okay. So that's, to me, it becomes a multifaceted question because certain things have to be put into consideration. Like, am I looking to like be part of a superhero team, or am I looking for like an everyday superpower that I could use just of its own accord, like that would help me in life? This is apparently the shit I get to concentrate on in my head.
I mean, it's all the same though, because either way, you have an ability.
Well, right, but I mean, like I say,
how you use it doesn't really matter.
The choice becomes different depending on what I'm doing.
So you're gonna play it off of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm saying,
well, then let's say everyday use.
Everyday use.
Let's just say you're a mundane, boring kind of guy, but you have superpowers.
I would at least. It doesn't have to be like super high level, but I would like increase speed. Like especially considering the work I do.
Not quite like the Flash, but
I don't need to be the Flash, but like I definitely need to be able to move faster.
Yep.
Like especially in the work I do, like doing my job, being able to move faster, like and be able to like still maintain the level of like carefulness, like and attention I keep, like would be helpful.
So what if you had a superhero group fighting crime, saving everybody?
If I was fighting crime, I think I'd probably do something along the lines of like Colossus.
Yeah.
Oh, it's either that or I would have.
You want organic metal.
Organic metal, or I'd have something.
You do realize though, Magneto controlled.
Oh yeah, I know.
Colossus in one of those universal.
It's always like I've always kind of thought myself, I'd be something like that, or like something like the Thing, where like I was covered in stone or something like that. Something along those lines.
So you want to look deformed?
I mean, I never considered myself to be especially attractive anyway, so
I
looks didn't matter.
I got you. All right. So, Dredd said I cheated. He says my answer's cheating. I said it's not cheating. I gave you my answer.
It's not cheating if you don't lay it down ground rules.
Well, the thing is, it would be a superpower. He says it's cheating. And because he just didn't want to hear that. So.
Tell me you said you'd be omniscient.
I had said that if I could have one superpower or one ability, I would want to manipulate matter.
Well.
And he says it was cheating. I'm like, why is it cheating? He's like, well, because then you can control everything. You can do whatever you want. I'm like, it still answered your question.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I don't think it's cheating, but he says it does. So, or he says it would be cheating. Dr. Manhattan could do it.
Yeah,
he's a superhero kind of, and same with Franklin Richards.
Yeah,
I mean, so yeah, I win.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, I can see where he'd say that's cheating because it's, like I say, it's right up there with being, like, omniscient. Like,
I could do whatever I want at that point.
like I say, yeah.
Everything's made out of matter. Unless I was thrown into a world where matter isn't a thing, which...
I mean, space is probably your only real issue. Like, if you're out in space...
But even then, there's still matter. There's elements around you that...
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, I used Dr. Manhattan as that kind of...
Sure.
Example because he essentially is the only one I could really think of that shows that God-like ability.
Right.
If he wanted to destroy the whole planet, he could just by that. And if he wanted to recreate it, he could do just like that. Snap of a finger. He can do whatever he wants. But yeah, that's my answer. I would want to manipulate matter. So,
well, like I say, the thing with dreads is that you have to tell them, like, it can't be cheating if you don't lay down ground rules.
Right. But then he went off and then he's like, well, I'm fine. He's like, fuck, marry, kill. And he's something like, I don't remember who he said, but I think he's like Oprah, I don't know, somebody else. And I think he was on some Oprah kick because I feel like he had mentioned her like a couple times that day. I mean, this was like 4 years ago, so it was a while ago. By the way, I just seen on Facebook, which I'm like never on, but I just saw on Facebook 4 years ago today, I moved into the apartment I shared with Devin.
Oh, word?
Yep.
Nice.
Doesn't seem like it's been 4 years, but
That's true. I slept at that place a couple times.
yes, you did. With Puma.
That's true. Laying between my legs.
All right. Yeah. So.
Tim got up and did something. What's he doing? Oh. Cat trying to get in. Cat trying to get out. There we go. So here.
On the door.
So I got a couple funny ones. The last thing you ate is now the only thing you can eat. How soon do you die?
Oh, soon. I just ate an ice cube.
But that's water. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but you
survive
can't-
longer on water than you would in food.
I would still die.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, last thing I really ate was that oatmeal raisin cookie I had when I was upstairs. So, I mean, the fact that I'm a diabetic means I'm probably out.
oh yeah,
I'm probably out soon.
well, I mean, if you want to talk actual food, what did I eat last?
Hamburger helper?
No, I didn't have that. I had pizza
Why the fuck did you make hamburger helper?
for Kaylee. Well, I had the hamburger thawing out for a couple days. It needed to be used up. So,
Oh, I suppose.
but
yeah.
for Kaylee, so she had something to eat when she came home.
Pizza's not awful. I mean, you could probably live off pizza for a while. You might get kind of fat.
I might get sick. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, you got cheese, you got bread, you got tomato sauce.
Especially if I could have the portions, because I had a sausage, I had a pepperoni, and I had a cheese with some breadsticks
Exactly. So,
and
yeah.
marinara sauce.
You might be all right.
Yeah.
You were about to get into a fight. What song comes on as your soundtrack?
Fight song. No, just the question is, which fight song?
Right.
There's probably a bazillion out there. I choose the one with the chick singer, the pop song. This is my fight song. My
I know that.
something
I know what
something
you're
else. Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
You know, if I was about to get in a fight, I think one of the few songs I've always kind of amped up was "Sick Puppies." You're going down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good fight song in my opinion. I'd probably say that would be the song I'd want.
It's funny because I remember this episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets into boxing because basically he can take a punch.
Yeah.
And
He also could take a cannon to the gut.
right. But at the end of the episode they're coming out and the guy that he's supposed to fight is like a Mike Tyson character and comes out to this heavy rap song and then Homer comes out to "Why Can't We Be Friends." And and I'm not a fighter, so
Me neither.
it's one of those things I feel like that'd be my song.
Why can't we be friends?
We be friends?
Yeah, I haven't been in a fight for a very, very long time, and I'm okay with that. I don't like
I'm not
fighting.
a fighter. Like I don't. I'm an asshole and I'm sarcastic, but I'm definitely not a violent man.
Nope. Yeah, me neither. But I also have an intimidation problem too. I don't get intimidated very easily, and I also don't take shit from people. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd have to. I could easily see that song being. It'd be. You start wrestling, and all of a sudden, why can't we be friends? That'd be great. You would have to come out in like a leotard with, or whatever the
I think it's a singlet is what
singlet.
it's called.
Yep, the singlet with a big old smiley face on it.
Just please no.
I got something for you. So,
All right.
kind of going a little bit more serious.
I can do that. I think.
What is something terrifying that we as like a whole, as a human race, have we accepted?
What's terrifying that we've accepted?
Yep. Something terrifying that we've all come to accept in life.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you really went off the deep end on that one. Fuck.
I mean, I can give you my answer.
I was like,
but
give me your answer first, so I can kind of think about mine.
it would have to be death. I mean, it's a little bit. It's kind of like death would be a little bit more specific because you're basing it off of something broader, which is the unknown.
Yeah.
We are terrified as a human species. We are terrified of the unknown. That's why we got to go explore the oceans. We got to go explore space. We got to explore our own minds and shit. We're just terrified of the unknown. And death is that what we would call the never, it's the end.
The great unknown.
It's the great unknown.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I mean, that's my answer.
Now thinking about it, I think if I really had to say, to me at least, what's truly terrifying is
Spiders, isn't it? Yeah, but spiders, I know it. No.
The Replacements. I'd have to go with either it's either a combination of the two, or it's both of these things. They kind of go hand in hand, and it's the solitude that social media is creating. The lack of we're connect. I think Charlie Chaplin does the great dictator. That speech talks about we're connected, but we're further apart.
That is an amazing speech.
It's an amazing speech, and I think that is poignant even today. And I think something that goes hand in hand with that is indifference. I think a heavy amount of indifference permeates the world, and I find that very terrifying. Just as someone who doesn't, I'm not one to seek the spotlight, but I never want to be left out. I'm terrified.
Disregarded.
I'm terrified of the idea that I'll just be forgotten, even though I don't want to be truly remarkable. I don't have that goal in mind, but I don't want to be just something that people remember. Yeah, he was around, but whatever.
I think everybody's essentially you're saying you just don't want to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little. I can't say everybody, but I think
Linkin Park
you're
song
onto
"Leave Out All the Rest" is probably the best explanation of that feeling.
Yep. Leave out all the. Yeah. It's a very, very excellent thing to bring up because essentially we consistently talk about living life.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of living life? But you never really see anybody living life to the fullest on their own because they want to share with somebody else. And that's the whole point of this consistent, live your life, go live life. So you have experiences, but what's the point of those experiences if you can't have someone to share it with, something to leave behind? And if anything, those people that you interact with, you could at least possibly have made some impact in their life where they will never forget. But that isn't always enough for a lot of people. They want some almost tangible evidence that they've made an impact. That's why they take pictures.
Yeah.
But people are consistently taking pictures of everything they do. Why do I give a fuck that you went to Peru?
Yeah.
You're just rubbing it in my face.
Right.
But it's not for me. It's for them. Something to look back at. So, and I get that.
Brendan Fraser has this great line in Airheads where he talks about, he's like, he talks about how he's kind of a screw up and like his girlfriend kicked him out. He's like, but if I can get one song out there, and get it on the air,
he's made his mark on the world.
None else of that matters.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I've ever wanted. Like, I've always said I have 3 goals in my life: to write a book, to make a movie, and to write a music album.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because all 3 of those would connect to somebody in some shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to put myself out there and have that connection, that bond with whoever I can.
Yeah.
But it's me making my stamp in the world. I don't necessarily give a shit about being famous or whatever. Right. I don't like the same as you just said. I don't want to be in the spotlight necessarily. That's why I have trouble doing YouTube videos, is because I don't really want the camera on me.
Yeah. I don't need to be adored. I just want to know that I meant something.
Yeah. Yep. But I also struggle with that. I don't find myself that important of a person or that special of a person to really see that I can make a difference.
Right.
And I struggle, but yeah, no, that's good. That's some deep stuff right there.
Yeah.
I definitely can agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's probably about that's about as deep as I can go on that question. All right, so I guess I pulled up a list of philosophical questions we can go into. If we want.
Great.
Interesting. If you could teach everyone in the world one concept, what concept would have the biggest positive impact on humanity?
Ooh. For me, that is a very complicated.
That's philosophy. It's supposed to be complicated.
That is going down quite the holes, quite the rabbit holes. I mean, I mean, it's like, to me, there's a lot that comes into dipping your hand in a bunch of things that kind of essentially build up to the one big thing, but there's never just one big thing that I have. I think the values that I have in life is to know what you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if I had to try to teach somebody something, it would be kind of defining your worth as an individual. What is it that you mean to yourself?
Yeah.
And then knowing what you can bring to the table. What merits do you present in life?
Right.
Because as somebody who has had no choice but to bust his ass off for the majority of his work career or work life,
Right.
I think that means a lot. You gain experience. You gain experience, but it's how you handle yourself in those situations that you take the most experience out of and hold on to. So if you have troubled times and you come out of those troubled times, you won't ever forget what you did to get out of that troubled time. Mm-hmm. And when you start to develop enough of those things and you start to sit there and analyze, how am I better from this? How am I different than I was 6 years ago, 7 years ago? Am I better? Am I happier? Do I like this person? Am I going in the right direction? All those things are very good questions to ask to define where your worth is.
Right.
But you have to really break yourself down, find your weakness, vulnerability. It's having a self-awareness and accepting vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I'm not a macho man. I don't do that bro macho man mentality. You can go fuck off with that shit. I will wipe you right off the floor. when you want to bring that kind of shit, because your masculinity, showing off your masculinity, is just showing exactly who you are, which is somebody who wants to present themselves in a matter that serves no purpose.
Right.
So if you want to have some value, you need to know who you are and accept it.
Right.
Be self-aware, be vulnerable, find those weaknesses, use those weaknesses. Tyrion Lannister says it best in Game of Thrones. You use your weaknesses as armor, and no one can hurt you with it.
Yeah.
But that helps you define kind of who you are. And when you start to know who you are, you start to find what you're worth, your value. So for me, I can go into a job and I can go, this is what I'm worth. And at that point, it's take it or leave it, because I know what I can give you.
Right.
And I know what I can provide.
Yeah.
Even if it's a job I'm not experienced in, I still know what I can provide. But I'm also not greedy, so I do
Undersell yourself a little bit.
sometimes. But it's also just like, if it's an experience I need to learn, like if I haven't done it before, I'm not familiar with it, it's going to be a struggle probably. So I'm going to have some learning curves that I'm going to have to get around. And therefore, I can't ask for this amount that I would if I was to walk into a kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Nope. But since I'm primarily, I cook for a living, I can walk into a kitchen and this is what I can ask for. And it's kind of a take it or leave it.
Sure.
But I also look at some places that going, if you can't hire me off of the pay, then you are in a lot worse of a situation,
right?
And you don't need me there anyway.
That's unfortunately the state of most kitchens. Like, it's the pay is really the clinching point for a lot of kitchens, at least around here.
Well, it's because people who run kitchens and people who run businesses, they don't prioritize what's important.
Right.
And what they could do and what they couldn't do. And it's all about
how little money they have to spend to get what they quote unquote need.
If you want, I mean, I think that's where it's all about culture at that point.
Yeah.
If you want a good business to run well, you have to create a proper culture, a proper atmosphere.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yep. So for you to do that means that you yourself not only have to be invested in that culture that is either this or that, whatever it is you're looking for, but you also have to hire the same people who are in that kind of state of mind of they believe in that kind of culture. They want that kind of culture too. It's the only way you can succeed. But you can't treat your people like crap. You have to pay them properly. You have to know what they're worth. You have to give them something that makes them aware that they are valuable, because they are the ones running your business, not you. You own the business. They're the ones that run the business because they're the ones that do the work. I mean, obviously the owner could do the work too, but
we hope
they're not doing the work on themselves. They're relying on 3 to 6 other people around them to do the work. Sure. So you have to value that. Not everybody does the work, so you have to obviously go, well, you're not going to work out. I think it's something I took from Chipotle that was very important was you give people trial, right? Mm-hmm. You give them all the tools that they need to do the job successfully. And at that point, if they can't do the job, then you have to go, well, why aren't they able to do the job? Yeah. Are they being empowered? That's usually the first thing. Are they being empowered?
Me or it's on them?
Yep. Are they being empowered? If they're not, start to empower them. It's hard to do. But usually people just need to feel that they're worth something, that this is a good thing. Second is tools. Do they have the tools to do the job properly? If they can't, find the tools to do the job properly. And then maybe you'll see that change. Otherwise, it's usually them. But then you can go in deeper going, why aren't they able to do the job? Is it they don't care? Is there something else? Whatever it is, you need to find that root problem. So I think it's when you essentially can find somebody's worth and your own, you can go places. You can do a lot. You can accomplish a lot.
Yeah. I've forgotten the question.
It was, I know I kind of went. I went. That's what happens. You get philosophical.
I did it once.
But look who you're talking to, Aram.
Sorry. Oh, if you could teach everyone. Okay.
Yeah, if you could teach any. Yeah. Yep.
So, I don't know. I guess for me, a big part of me, I guess, is I don't. This is something I've learned about myself in these past years, that I don't want for a lot of things. I like toys here and there, but like I don't want for a ton of shit. And I'm very happy with I'm very happy with what I have. Like, and I'm like that a lot with like a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a detriment. Sometimes it's good for me.
Appreciate what you have.
I think that's probably a concept I would try to teach, like being, not saying don't strive for more, but being happy with what you have.
Yeah.
Not saying that like you can't want more, but like to not look at what you have and be like, well, this is trash.
Yeah.
Like, cause it's not, I mean, it's what you got, you know?
Yeah. It's,
I don't know the exact term for the concept, but
I think it's just
immaterialism, I guess would be the best way to say it, but
I think, well,
anti-materialism.
you're kind of touching base on something a lot more broader than just materials, because you're pretty much just saying you would like to teach people to appreciate what they have.
Right.
It's essentially to bring it down to the root. That's what you're saying, which is fantastic. It comes down to everything. It's appreciating what you have. It's a hard thing to do because you're battling with your emotions.
Well, you battle the culture too. That's the problem.
Oh,
The culture does not help.
The culture does not help at all, especially, I mean, look at when we were kids.
Yeah.
When we were in the 90s, right? I think we've talked about this and I brought it up. You used to see kids playing out in the yards by themselves and shit. Hell, I used to run around the neighborhood without having a watchful eye over me, and I just had to be home by 6 or be home by dark or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. You can't even, it's like you see children playing by themselves out in the yard and
you go, where are their parents?
Somebody wants to call the cops on you for being bad parents. It's like, and it's a cultural thing.
That's the culture. Like, that's social media and stuff like that has brought up the ability to say, oh, well, there's somebody, so-and-so lives in your neighborhood, so don't let your kids out.
You know what else is weird? Is you were talking about materialist. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, that's fine.
You're talking about materialistic things. Like, we're in a contradictive state where we consistently boost the idea of having more stuff, and yet we're in this weird same little fad in our culture where people want to go live in tiny homes and condense down and have those little wallets that just have basically nothing.
Just
but
a money clip or
It contradicts
It's a contradiction. Well, because big business always wants you to buy more stuff, but like the culture says, that's social media getting in their philosophical shit, and the tiny homes and condensing down, like that's all reality TV shit that's come up that like people now get into. Like,
but they see it and they eat that shit up.
Yeah.
There are very few people I think that would actually survive for a while in tiny homes like that. I have lived in a camper for 6 months when I was building my loft. I lived in a camper. I had all my stuff in that camper. And then I had a bunch of stuff in the pole barn that I was building this loft in, just there next to the camper, pretty much. And I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I struggled with living in a camper.
Yeah.
And it's mainly, I felt that I couldn't even breathe. I'm a fairly tall guy, so it was kind of tough to just maneuver around. And I had to find myself crawling out of bed and crawling onto the couch or whatever. And then just imagining having a bunch of boxes everywhere. It's like, and I had to live that way for 6 months. So as soon as I built that loft where I could move up, I did. So
I don't know that I could live in a. Part of me thinks I don't need a lot of space, but I don't think I could live in a tiny home at the same point. Like, I need space. I don't need a ton of space. I've often talked about like I don't like yard work, so like I don't need a yard. But like I need some space. Like my apartment right now is small for the family we are. Chelsea, myself, and Liam living in there with 2 cats. It's a bit small. But if it were just on my own, that would be perfect for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's perfect size for one person.
I think that's what I really liked about the one that me and Devin lived in.
Yeah.
It was a good size.
Yeah.
For
definitely.
2 people, it was good size. And it was cheap. It was like $720 a month. It was
it's not bad.
1,200 and something square foot apartment. 2-bedroom. And
Definitely not bad.
1 bath, unfortunately. But
Can't all be winners, Tim.
no, but yeah, I think that's something I liked was it was nice for 2 people. But when Devin moved out and I was there for 4 months on my own, it was too much. It was too big.
Yeah. There's a fine point where all of a sudden like you get that weird cutoff where all of a sudden like that's just too much.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. What was the question?
What concept would you like to teach the world, or what do you think?
Oh
is
yeah, you were answering yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's just the root of a lot of issues. Like in that respect, can be solved just by being happier with what you have. Like, say, not saying you can't strive for more, but not being down on what you have.
Yeah. But you're dealing with you said it best. It's a cultural thing because we worry about. I kind of had a rant. I went on one night and I wrote a paper. I think I call it my 1 a.m. rant or 3 a.m. rant or something like that. It's like in the middle of the night. I got up and I had to type this out.
Got mad about something.
Yeah, I should find it and like read it. But I made a point like we as a society are consistently wanting to make money to buy shit that we don't need just to impress people that we don't even like.
Right.
So we have some kind of status, some kind of significant status in whatever it is. And it's not always, it's almost unconscious how much we do it. It just seems like it's unconscious. Like, it's we're not even thinking about where we're trying to place ourselves. So we just do it. And I think that's where, because of our culture, we're consistently wanting to be in somebody's radar.
Yeah.
And
so it's an effort to be noticed.
Yeah. And you said it, now that we have social media, that's a whole thing. We have to show off to everybody. Why? Yeah. Why do we have to do this? Like, don't get me wrong. I use social media too. I don't blow up social media like crazy like all these other freaking people do, but I use Snapchat. Hell, I Snapchatted today with a couple pictures of Wesley playing in his little pool and playing his little water table and stuff. But, you know, for the most part, I'm proud of that.
Right.
So, and there are people out there who probably think that's cute. And in fact, I had a couple responses from it. So,
yeah.
But do I care really what people think? No, not at all. Not at all. A lot of people do though. They get a little butthurt when people start trolling on them. So
philosophy got kind of heavy, so I moved on to open-ended questions.
I feel like this is going to be interesting.
Oh, goody.
What celebrity would you rate as a perfect 10? Guy or girl?
Oof.
So pretty much, who would be your favorite celebrity? I guess is really. You want to narrow it down to maybe just like actors?
Well, I mean, I can kind of. Okay, if you want to go actors, I would say all around, I would give Ryan Reynolds the status of like a perfect 10, just because he's funny, he can do serious stuff, he's a very pretty man, and it just. So for all the curriculum, I would give him perfect 10 status. I don't generally lend those sort of critiques because I don't think anyone's ever perfect.
No, but
he's probably the closest actor I could think of.
I would look at it as kind of exactly what you said. Across the board, across that spectrum of whatever it is, imaginary spectrum, who could you see? And if anything, could I tolerate that person? Like if I had to watch him for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And I think I'd have to agree, man. He's diverse enough to be across the board. I mean, he's done everything from action, horror, comedy, raunchy comedy.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, he made a start in raunchy comedy. Well, he made a start in sitcom, but
Right.
Van Wilder was his big punch out. Yep, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. You should write that down.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, so I mean, I definitely would say Ryan Reynolds. But if I really had to take a secondary, Tom Hanks.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
As a human being, I think Tom Hanks is considered one of the most likable people in the world.
I was on Facebook today, and it was a picture of Tom Hanks from his new Mr. Rogers film, and it was them saying like, "Oh, Tom Hanks says wear a mask," and then like the headline of the header underneath says, "America's dad says wear a mask."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would give Tom Hanks that status too. Yeah, he's done. You know,
he's done everything.
Maybe never done a horror, but I mean, but still, that's.
Well, yes, he has. If you want to consider The Burbs,
oh yes,
it's kind of technically considered a like horror comedy.
Sure,
because it is very dark.
What's the movie he did before? Was like Magic and Wizards or something like that? Where like
Maze and Monsters.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, but that was when he was 17
he was
years
young,
old.
yeah, but like
so that was
he
way
thinks
before.
he's in a computer game, but it's really him going off the deep end or something like that.
Yeah, it was Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
it's pretty much Maze and Monsters is like the version of Dungeons and Dragons, and
it has some sort of like psychotic break or something.
Yeah,
like that,
he has a hard time separating that this is fictional over reality, and he kind of slips into this delusion that he is actually playing the game. So yeah, yep. I have that movie somewhere.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, that's like Monsters and Maze or Maze and Monsters. Yeah, that was like when he was like 17, I think.
Yeah, it was like, he was super young for that. I think it was one of those first movies or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, The Burbs would be considered. It was considered a horror comedy.
Interesting.
I like. Was it Corey Feldman? Was the neighbor kid who's like sitting up on the roof and
basically played his frog brother character from The Lost Boys.
Pretty much, yep. By the way, I finished up that Search of Darkness. It's a 4.5 hour film.
I ain't got that kind of time,
right?
Man.
So that's why I didn't finish it. I was like, oh man. And what made it so special, I guess, was they put my name at like the end credits for a thanks for supporting. I was like, oh.
I waited 6 months for this.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, there I am among 6,000 other people. So I didn't think it was all that special, but it was still a cool documentary. I'm glad I have it. And it was definitely, it makes me, oh man, I tell you, it fueled me wanting to like next time we do movies or something like that, I think we should watch like a string of films, like, and then talk about those films, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it.
Sure.
And I think that the horror genre would be fun because it's very campy, it
can be,
whatever, and easy to pull apart, put back together.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I was thinking we should do something like that, do a segment where we're like, let's watch Lord of the Rings, and then we'll go, what do we like about it? It's too boring.
What'd you like about it?
Nothing. They walked. They should have taken the falcons and then dropped the ring off, and they would have been done in like 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because they're eagles, not falcons. Get it right.
The cousin breed.
Watch your mouth. Yeah, I don't think I have really anybody. I mean, I guess actress-wise, I think Sandra Bullock ends up being somewhere up there. I think she does a lot of comedy stuff, but she can do serious shit at the same time. And I think she just... I mean, she seems like a pretty decent person outside of it, too.
I know she's a realtor.
She adopted a kid or two, I think, so...
Yeah, because he was big, black, and he can run.
Now, Tim.
Hey, they made a movie about it.
Where she's a blonde. She's not a natural blonde, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so. Have you seen Instant Family?
with Mark Wahlberg and what's her face?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I enjoy it.
It looked like it'd be decent.
I don't know why I enjoy it, but I enjoy it a lot.
Mark Wahlberg has gotten into making these weird like family comedies,
Like
Daddy's Home 1 and 2,
which was actually Daddy's the first one I enjoyed. I thought it was pretty decent. It was pretty funny, and it wasn't like over the top like I thought it was going to be. The second one had its moments where it was a little over the top. Still didn't think it was too bad.
I think personally, I was just like excited for the second one. I still haven't watched either one of them, but the second one, I was just more excited for the fact that Will Ferrell and John Lithgow were acting together.
Father
Lithgow,
and
I think, is hysterical.
God, that dude's just amazing.
Have you listened to any of his children albums?
No,
Lithgow?
but I've listened to him read children's books.
Well, he's written a couple of children's books, but he's got a couple like albums where he plays children's music.
No, well,
I used to sing one to Liam when he was a kid.
I think he was on
kid.
Sesame Street or some kind of thing like that where I seen him do children's stuff. But
Look up
I don't know if that's what you're
Sunny
talking
Side
about.
of the Street is one of the albums, and I can't remember the other one. I think Singing in the Bathtub or something like that is the other one. But he has a couple of really good songs. Like he plays like the ukulele or something like that.
Yeah. Still one of the most talented people out there.
Most definitely.
He's definitely up there for one of the most talented people out there. But I must say, like, the roles that guy has played and the dynamic and range of shit that he has done is just incredible. Like when he was the father in
Harry and the Hendersons.
Footloose.
Footloose, yeah.
And,
so I always remember it was from Harry and the Hendersons
and then
first.
he goes and does the comedy like that, and then he goes and he's in
Raising
the Twilight Zone episode with the gremlin on the wing.
He does the William Shatner thing.
Yeah.
William Shatner was the original one in the show.
In the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the exact same bit, but it was William Shatner saying the goblin.
And then he turns around and he does Third Rock from the Sun, which...
Did you ever see Raising Cain?
I don't know.
It's about him. He's basically a murderer, but he has like 4 or 5 different personalities that he plays.
Oh, interesting. Well, and then
One
I was
of them's
gonna,
a lady, too.
Then I was going to go to that too, where he was in Dexter and he played the Trinity Killer.
Yeah.
And that role was disturbing because not only
Not
was
the first time he's played a murderer.
No, but not only was he playing this serial killer, he was scary when he was confronting his family. Mm-hmm. And it was terrifying. That man, I mean, because he's a big guy.
Oh, yeah, he's a towering individual.
6'4", and he's got some meat on him. He's not skinny, but then he goes and does something like,
Daddy's Home?
Daddy's Home.
He did a show on NBC called, like, Disorder in the Court or something like that, where basically he was being tried for murder in the small town, and he was actually pretty funny in it. The rest of the crew was whatever, but...
Yeah, no, I know. I like that guy. Anyway.
John Lithgow, yeah, another one.
See, movies.
Yeah.
They always get in the way of everything.
So moving on to open-ended questions, because like I say, philosophy got a little too heavy for you and I think. God, I just had one and I lost it. Hold on.
Getting sidetracked. You want to talk about more movies?
Sure.
No? Can't think of
I
one?
literally just had one in my hand.
Do you want me to throw something out there?
Go for it, because I fucking lost mine.
If you could own some type of... Well, actually, you know what mythical creature would improve the world?
Mythical creatures?
If it existed. I was going to say, like, what kind of mythical creature would you like to own? But... I don't think I'd want to own a lot of those.
No, they're terrifying.
Right. Well, what could I don't know? What could
I would
improve the
assume
world?
I don't remember the mythology a lot, but like I feel like unicorns had some sort of like property that.
Well, they're supposed to be magical.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think there's supposed to be some sort of like healing property to them somewhere. But that would just get into the ivory trade, I guess, at that point.
Oh God! Right? Yeah. Be like rhinos.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like I say, you almost don't want to do that to those creatures because putting them in this kind of world would be fucked up. Mm-hmm. Like I just said, I mean, putting unicorns in it, you worry about the ivory trade. Mm-hmm. Some unicorns just being slaughtered for their horns.
And I've seen Rain of Fire. I don't think dragons would be a good idea.
No. I thought the interesting concept of that movie was the fact that the dragons were eating ash. Like that was what they were living on. Was they were eating the ash they were creating by burning everything up.
I mean, it probably has the nutrients it needs, I guess. I don't know.
That was a minor side note on Rain of Fire, which is a movie I saw many, many years ago.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
I did too. A lot of people give a shit.
People give me shit about it too, but I'm like, hey, it had Christian Bale, Gerard Butler, Matthew McConaughey.
Butler was in it?
Yep.
Forgotten him.
Yep.
Back before 300, obviously.
Yep. Not to mention the 2 credit songs was by Mad at Gravity, and that was a badass album. I wish they had more than that one album because it was a good album.
What is the scariest dream you've ever had?
Oh. I have some pretty vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes have some pretty, like, nightmarish dreams. But I can't really recall. I think some of the dreams where I'm falling have a big impact on me. And those get pretty... Because I pretty much have a fear of heights.
Sure.
I think it's a rational fear of heights. I'm not meant to go that high. My body's telling me.
I have a fear of unsecured heights. Like I can fly in a plane, but like I can't go up a ladder real easy.
Yeah. Yep.
Like when I can reasonably feel like that's gonna fall out from under me, I have a real problem with that.
Yeah. Flying, I don't have a problem flying.
It's a matter of control, I think. There's more control in flying than there is going up a ladder.
When me and Kaylee went on a hot air balloon ride when we were in...
I wouldn't do that.
See, and I wanted to do it because I knew it would be thrilling, and it was, but I was terrified at the same time. Like, my legs literally were shaking. I was calm from the waist up.
The replacement's talking about just like a duck on a pond. Up above the water, it's calm, and underneath, those feet are kicking a mile a minute.
That's exactly how it was, and... It's a rational thing because my mind is going, what if this bottom dropped out? Mm-hmm. You know, like, that's a long ways to say goodbye.
Yeah. I was watching something yesterday. We were watching Ghost Adventures, and they're going down into these Grand Canyon caverns. And the host asked the guy running the elevator, like, what happens if this cable snaps? He says, well, I have about 5 seconds to speak to the God you believe in.
Yep. And so I mean, because I want to skydive. And I think that the falling part would be fine. It's when I have to slowly soar down to safety that I would start freaking out.
I'd freak out about missing my mark somewhere. I'd be like, oh no, I'm going to end up in a field somewhere that no one can find me.
I'm not even concerned about that. It's that soaring. It's that sitting there knowing any minute a big gust of wind could come and fuck my shit up. Yeah. Or a bird could come and boof. But I think that... What was the question again?
Scariest dream you've ever had?
Okay, so I think that a lot of the dreams that I'm falling in tend to be the ones that I wake up from. It's that whole Inception thing. I get that kick. Yeah. I tend to wake up from those dreams. Very, very, very seldom can I recall where I've been falling off of buildings or something like that. It's like a building just starts to fall and I have to whatever, and I'm still in the dream and I succeed in surviving or not waking up, getting past that kick. But for the most part, I think that's probably the scariest dreams I have, or usually when I'm falling on something. Like I remember a dream where I was on on a building, like on top of the roof, and it just fell. And I'm like, that scared the crap out of me. But I remember falling onto another building, which then also fell or was falling or something like that. So
interesting.
I don't know what the fuck I was doing on top of these giant buildings that are falling, but
I had one dream once that I was a child when I had it, and I can still remember to this day most of it. That's how much it affected me, I guess. I was at my babysitter at the time. Like I either was at her house or like at her mom's house. Like they had a farm, whatnot. But I was at their house and I was laying on the floor in a back room. I don't know if I was supposed to be taking a nap or what. But my mom basically walked into the room and said, "Okay, I'm leaving," and walked out of the room. And I got up and I tried to follow her out, and there was a big crowd of people in this one room outside of there, like I had to wade through. I don't know if it was a party or whatnot, but eventually got outside, and I remember pleading with my mother not to leave. My mom basically was just taking off.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, some other lady showed up that was supposed to be like a replacement or something like that, but like my mom was just dead set against staying. And I don't remember if she actually left or not, but I remember waking up yelling, "Mom, don't go."
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't home. I was at my grandparents' house at the time, and I think there was a wedding at the time that we were getting ready for. So the people that were like, I was up in the loft with two people that were like distant cousins that had never met me before. And I'm like I say, I'm 6 or 7, and so they had to like comfort a crying 7-year-old that they didn't know.
A little awkward, but
Yeah. But yeah, that was probably the scariest. Like I said, that's probably the one that was most effective. I think I've probably had other nightmares, but I don't really remember them.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I like my dreams, but in fact, a lot of my story ideas have come from dreams.
Sure.
That's kind of how vivid my dreams are. But, well, I mean, I don't know if you want to do another question or two, or we should wrap it up.
We can wrap it up. That's fine.
11:30, and
Yeah.
gone about an hour and 6 minutes so far,
Yeah.
almost 7 minutes. So,
I'll be down. Wrap that up.
well, sure. Then we can wrap it up. I think our next episode, episode 9, will kind of go back on our
Yeah. Probably go back
schedule.
on.
I mean, maybe we can do a book or talk about books or whatever if we
Yeah.
if we get a little more on the same page.
Either that or we'll go back into movies and music and we'll
Yeah,
jazz
sure.
about that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind talking about the movies those trailers.
Yeah. And I got
But,
more too, so I mean, we can definitely talk about more.
I definitely I've watched the majority of those trailers. I wouldn't mind talking about
two,
them. So,
but I gotta make myself sit down and watch some more.
right. Yeah, I just did it. That's all I did. I just did it. Like, even if
You
I didn't
also
like
have more
it.
time in your hands than I do, so.
Yeah, it's true. So, all right, well, yeah, we'll wrap it up. Wait for next time.
Yeah.
Once again, stop by the Facebook page and leave a comment or a message if you want to say hi or see the map that Aram's going to try to post up about our D&D thing.
Right.
Or
Anything else we talked about? If you want to leave a comment,
Yeah.
give us an idea about something to talk about.
our next podcast discussion.
Yeah.
So,
This is Aram Banyan.
and Timothy Bennett here.
Thanks for stopping by.
We'll catch you later.
Later.
Bye.